You ever do a thing and that thing ends up taking over your life? Like, to the point where even if you put it down, you end up coming back to it again and again and again with a refined outlook and a new way of doing it. That's photography for me. Ever since my old man handed me a point and shoot Olympus camera. Hang on, there he is. Doesn't switch on anymore, sadly. But I mean, this was the first camera I ever used. It's even got a slidey shutter cover. So you would switch it on, that would slide back into the camera body, the lens would pop out. Man, it felt so technologically advanced at the time. It was ridiculous. It's like pop-up headlights on a car, properly vintage. Whenever we go on like family holidays or whatever, I'd be handed the camera and I'd spend ages on long drives or just going out during the day, just snapping around, seeing what I could get. Throughout school trips, I was the guy who would always bring a camera with me, you know, whether it was a disposable or this little guy. I'd always be the guy with the camera, and I would capture moments and then share them with as many of my peers as I could. Shouldn't do that. I forget that light's there. So the problem with having erratic hands is, look at that. Ooh, it's like strobe lighting. Anyway. Ever since I first saw what was possible with a camera over 15 years ago, I've been absolutely obsessed with this craft. That progressed onto me buying a 600D and taking photography into academia, sort of honing my skills, learning the technicalities, because believe it or not, there are technicalities behind it. There is a way to capture a quote-unquote perfect shot. I got super interested in GoPro at that time. I think the Hero 2 had just come out. I remember when the Hero 3 was launching, I ran into school that day, and me and my mates all gathered around a computer and we watched the Hero 3 launch video. I don't know if anyone else remembers that one, but man, we were so pumped on like what you were able to create with such a tiny little camera, the adventures you could go on, document it, send it out to the world so that everyone could see it. That video got us so hyped. I actually went on to buy a Hero 3 because of that video. Hang on. There he is. There he is. To say this guy went everywhere with me would be an understatement. I actually got nicknamed GoPro Gord at one point because I seemingly just took it everywhere and shot everything. I kind of fell in love with capturing moments and immortalizing the memory, both for myself and for other people. The things you're able to capture and create was something so small you could attach it to anywhere on you. We just got so hyped for creating and adventuring. Like what a moment in time that was. I then went on to college to study photography. I bought myself a 5D Mark II, and man, I was so blown away by what that thing could do. The quality of the images, the color depth, the freedom that gave you when editing, the full frame sensor. That blew me away. Throughout college, I shot on medium and large format cameras, getting a feel for how film worked and how people in the past used to do things. And what that gave me is an appreciation for the history of creating a good image. Toward the end of college, I started being offered jobs all over the place, like local businesses, charity work. My mates needed some photography, they'd come to me. And that then progressed on to doing some work for the Dubai Tourist Board. I shot for Tifosi, which is one of the biggest bike brands in Europe. And then weddings as well. Like, man, weddings are one of the best ways to find out what you're made of in photography. Now, I wouldn't recommend testing your skills at a wedding. You, the camera, the moment, you miss the moment, it's gone. You can't just walk up to the bride and go, I missed that. Can you take the ring off and we'll just do that again. You've got to be so on the ball, in tune with your camera, focusing on the moment. It's exhilarating, stressful, but man, it's very rewarding. It just seemed like an uphill trajectory at that point. Like, it wasn't going to stop. Things were just getting better, ramping up. My work was improving. And then I got offered a job with Kurt Geiger. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Kurt Geiger is a huge multinational organization specializing in fashion. And they wanted me to be their photographer straight out of college. I was like, dude, that's incredible. Like, wow. What I forgot in the pursuit of status, money, and I guess comfort is that I hate shooting fashion. I don't like working for big companies, and my images need to mean something. They can't just be soulless vessels to sell a product. They need to have a story, they need to have a memory, something attached to it that makes it more than just an image. There's a famous quote, I can't remember who it's by, but it goes, comfort is the enemy of progress. And I certainly suffered from that with Kurt Geiger. I got really comfortable to the point where I wasn't progressing in this anymore. And I fell out of love with it to the point where I sold my camera, I sold most of my gear. This little guy is about all that remains of those days. For many, I guess that would be the end of the story. You'd pack in the camera, you'd sell it all off, that'd be it, you'd be done. Sayonara, see you later. But for me, there was always this nagging in the back of my head. Something inside me kept saying, you know you're missing it. You know you're missing that camera. Come on, buddy. And I worked in hospitality for a long while. So I'd always get asked the question, like, do you do anything else? Is this all you do? And I would obviously explain to people like, oh, I used to be a photographer. Here's my work. And they would always say, dude, what the hell are you doing here? After hearing that a couple of 100 times, I kind of went, yeah, I need to go back to the drawing board. Losing my voice as I'm doing the video. I'm sure you can hear that. He's struggling a little bit. I just had a mint as well, so that's really, that's really cold. So I went back to the drawing board. I bought my second 5D Mark II, started relearning from the ground up. It wasn't that I'd forgotten everything, I said to myself, if I'm gonna do this again, it needs to be new. I need to rediscover what it was about this that made me fall in love in the first place. This culminated last year when I went to Scotland in August. My home country, beautiful place. It's bloody beautiful, in fact. But I've been doing a lot of self-development building up to this time, sort of figuring out my own nature as well as the nature of the world around me, getting myself into a good mental state essentially. So in August I took a trip to Scotland, the fourth of its kind that I embarked on last year, and my sole aim was to capture one shot of Eileen Donan Castle. I drove 12 hours north just for that one shot. My friends thought I was insane. It just took over me. I just had to go and do it. I sat watching the sunset, I sat watching the wind change the reflective quality of the water. I watched the clouds dancing in the sky, all the while thinking back on my career as a photographer and what it meant to me. And then snap, in the final moments of the day, I caught what I would say is the best image I've ever captured. And that really summed up my time in photography up until that moment. So what's my point here, I'm sure you're wondering? My point is, stop rushing for the end goal. Life is not a journey, it's an adventure with all the ups and downs that come with such an adventure. And all that I've done in photography has led me here, to speaking to you on a camera, in the hopes that maybe, just maybe, I can stop someone else from putting themselves in the same pit that I did. There's plenty of people who will be factory photographers or factory artists or whatever. Let them do it. If you love this, videography, painting, whatever it may be, do what you love, be authentic, and people will tell you what they think. The title of this is Don't Be a YouTuber, which is something I'm telling myself. Don't focus on the end goal of it, the sponsorships, the high subscribers, the like count, the comments, all of that, the status that can come with this. And instead ask myself, what can I teach? What story do I have to tell? And constantly remembering that this might not work out, but at the end of the day, I'm pushing my comfort zone. I've come from behind the camera to in front of it to hopefully tell a story, to teach you a little something, make you laugh along the way. I'm looking to push that comfort zone again, which is here in front of the lens. So do what you love, stay humble, keep shooting, be true. Peace.